Hi, fellow West Ham fans. Well, what a day it is today. What a fantastic day after that result. Brilliant. Not only the result, but the team performance. You could see it coming after Man City, and I was really worried we were going to do another one of those Leicester City, Everton dips, Man City, Chelsea dip. Didn't happen. Two fantastic performances in a row. You could see us building on it, as I said, from Man City. Really enjoyed, good God, the way they started that match. Chelsea did not know what to do. And it told straight away the pressure. They just couldn't contain us. It shows that when the players are, motivated, boy, can they turn it on. I could go on about the match long and hard, but I see a lot of other people have done that. I could pick out individual players. You can pick out Arnautovic. Fantastic performance. You can pick out Masuaku. My God, what a player we have. I see Phil Neville has finally decided to change his opinion of Masuaku. I was reading Claret and Hugh earlier on today. Am I allowed to say that on this? I don't know. Anyway, I was. And the reports, it just goes to show what the media does and doesn't know about West Ham. We follow them week in, week out, and you've got the pundits like Neville, who comes up and they see a glimpse once in a while, and perhaps they see a couple of off games or some highlights, and they make their mind up about players, and before you know it, because their opinion is so weighted, it's all around the media that this player is that and this player is the other, and etc. Good to see he changed his mind after watching Masuaku yesterday. But you know what? I'm not going to go on and on and on about all the fantastic players or performances we had yesterday, because it was a team performance. And in my opinion, the person who deserves the most credit for what happened yesterday, one David Moyes. I'm coming around slowly but surely. I remember when he was, I'll be the first to say that when the board fired Slaven Bilic and hired David Moyes, I said they've got 50% of the decision right. I'm up to 85% of the decision right now. He is starting to really impress me, not only with the way that he drops players that are not on form. Hello, Joe. The way that he plays players in positions that seem to suit them. The opposition don't seem to know how we're going to set up. This is amazing. This is something we haven't seen in a long time. You could predict if someone was fit where they were going to play, and often it was out of position, badly out of position. I'm not going to go on about the players that have left the club and said certain things. Nevertheless, we've all witnessed it. Yesterday, he seemed to have the players playing exactly where they like to play. Either that, or they knew they had no choice and they put their hearts into it. Wonderful performance. I had a sneaking suspicion we could get something from the Chelsea game. I didn't think it was going to be 3 points against the champions. Wow. The fans were fabulous. Good. I didn't even realise that Stuart Pearce still had his left leg working quite that well. The way he planted that into the stands was fantastic. Just interesting, something you wouldn't know over there, but I don't know if you remember Craig Forrest. Craig Forrest used to be a West Ham goalkeeper. He ended up getting testicular cancer and and we seem to have a bit of a history of that, don't we? And getting sidelined and then eventually losing his West Ham position for medical reasons, no doubt. About 10 years ago, I was walking in a town not too far away from here called Nanaimo. I live on Vancouver Island, and you don't see many West Ham fans out here. I was walking along the seawall, and I think I had a West Ham shirt on, and I'm walking along, and good God, coming the other way is a man with a West Ham cap on. And I take a look at him, and he looks at me, and we both stop, and he goes, "Good Lord, another West Ham fan?" I said, "Yeah." I said, so we started talking about our backgrounds. He said, where have you come from? And I said, well, I was born and raised in England for 18 years and moved over here. But by the time I left England, my dad had saddled me with the West Ham, the West Ham legacy. There's as much misery as pleasure supporting the team. But nevertheless, once it's in your blood, and you can't do anything about it. And he said, well, I'm a relative newcomer to West Ham. He said, my son is Craig Forrest. And this was just after I think he had left the team maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago. Long time. And he said, he had a lovely time there, but he was not treated very well at the end. And we seem to have a history of that at West Ham, don't we? But anyway, they let him go, and he wasn't completely happy about that. Anyway, Craig Forrest, back to Craig Forrest here. He is a pundit on a TV program here, a very, very big one, the Sportsnet TSN. Any other Canadians watching this will know what I'm talking about. We get all the Premier League matches on Saturday, most of them live. I think Sportsnet show 1 or 2, and then TSN show all the rest. Now, TSN didn't cover the West Ham match. It was a Sportsnet match. But TSN, the station that Craig Forrest works for, do a Premier League wrap-up. Craig Forrest, whenever he talks about West Ham, for the past few years, I've thought, he's got a chip on his shoulder about them. Obviously, it must be, as his dad said, he was not treated very well. Because he's always very fair, a bit too fair, if you know what I mean, for someone who used to play for the team. Sometimes a bit harsh on them. It's hard enough for me to listen to the media and read most of the negativity that we've had ever since the Tevez affair, and God knows the Sheffield affair, and the Icelandic situation, and oh my God. I am going somewhere with this, by the way. But yesterday, for the first time, he showed his West Ham colours. There he is sitting there with his West Ham claret and blue tie on, and you've never seen someone so happy to recap a match where West Ham beat Chelsea. He had some fantastic things to say. He has some insights about West Ham as well, and in one in particular, which I think is where this whole point is coming to, and it was that he played with Stuart Pearce, Psycho, and he mentioned his name, Psycho, and he said Stuart Pearce several times, he said, to me personally, and many times in the changing room when we played, if you didn't pull your weight or put your effort in there, he came up to you nose to nose and let you know in no uncertain terms, I'm guessing short words, 1, maybe 2 syllables, loud, that you were not pulling your weight. And this all goes back to Moyes. What a great decision by him to bring in people that aren't only coaches but are ex-managers too. They have that authority, they have that steely look, and they have that know-how. And I have no doubt that Psycho has been in that changing room telling people exactly what he thinks of their effort and how well or how poorly they've done. Moyes has done really well to pick that team, that managerial coaching squad or team that he's got. 3 or 4 ex-managers. He's done really, really well. And you know what? We didn't get that new manager bounce that people have been talking about. We didn't go out and win our next match after he came, or the next one, or the next one, or the next one, did we? So we didn't go out and do that, and I'm really pleased because that new manager bounce is a temporary thing, and it's got nothing to do with what the new manager has coached into the team. Nothing. It's just a reaction from the players. Either relief the previous guy's gone and they've got another chance, or a change. But anyway, it isn't as a result of coaching. These performances we've seen, the Leicester one, okay, let's forget the Everton one. That was an old legacy team for him. Maybe there were other issues there. Everton have always been a boga team. Let's forget that one. The Man City one and the Chelsea one, we've seen something. We've seen the result of hard work and coaching. And we've seen that those players pull themselves up by the bootstraps, or get pulled up by the bootstraps, and put a damn sight more effort into running around that pitch, coordinating their ideas, and following through with what the coaches are saying. And that culminated in yesterday's team result. Where do we go from here? As well as we played against Arsenal, don't get all depressed if we lose to... as well as we played against Chelsea and Man City, don't get all depressed if we lose against Arsenal.